Still green? Do this and watch your tomatoes turn red overnight. Have your tomato plants been teasing you all summer? Big, juicy-looking fruits hanging heavy on the vine, but still green as ever? It's honestly one of the most frustrating feelings for any gardener. You've waited weeks, maybe even months, gave them sun, water, food, and love, but those tomatoes just won't ripen. Don't panic. You're not doing anything wrong, at least not entirely. The truth is, there are several specific reasons why your tomatoes are stuck in that stubborn green stage, and most of them are actually fixable. In this deep dive from Soil and Crop Central, we're going to uncover exactly what's happening behind the scenes. No fluff, no guesswork, just facts, fixes, and some good old gardening wisdom. Let's break down the real reasons your tomatoes aren't ripening, and exactly how to get them back on track. Stick around because the last one might be the real reason you've been waiting too long. Here's the first big one. Your tomatoes are probably just too hot, and I know that sounds a little strange. I mean, tomatoes love summer, right? Yes. But only to a point. Tomatoes ripen best when the temperatures stay between 68 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Once those daytime temps go over 85 degrees or 29 Celsius, something inside your fruit changes. Or actually, it stops changing. Two natural compounds, lycopene and carotene, are what give tomatoes their red, orange, and yellow colors. When it gets too hot, the plant just stops producing these pigments. That's why your tomatoes stall out at the mature green stage. They're done growing, but they just can't finish ripening until things cool down. If you've had a hot streak in your area, that's likely the cause. But you don't have to just sit back and wait for cooler weather. Try using shade cloth to drop the temperature around your plants by as much as 10 degrees. You can also pick your mature green tomatoes and bring them indoors. Just place them in a paper bag on your kitchen counter. The stable indoor temperature and ethylene gas the tomatoes produce will help them ripen within 4 to 7 days. If the tomato already has a slight blush of color, it'll ripen even faster. Just like extreme heat, cold can slow your tomato ripening to a crawl. Once temperatures drop below 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius, your plants start to focus less on ripening and more on survival. Flower production dips, and fruits can stay in a green holding pattern for much longer. If cooler weather is setting in early, you can use the same paper bag method indoors, or try covering your plants overnight with row covers to trap some warmth. But really, the sooner you bring those mature green fruits indoors, the better your chances of getting them fully ripe before the frost hits. Let's talk fertilizer. It matters, a lot. If your tomato plants look like a tropical jungle with massive dark green leaves but barely any fruit, that's a classic sign of too much nitrogen. Nitrogen helps plants grow leafy and strong, especially early in the season. But by the time your plants are setting fruit, they don't need all that nitrogen anymore. What they really need is phosphorus for flower development and potassium for fruit growth and ripening. If you're still using a high nitrogen fertilizer mid-season, you could be slowing everything down. Instead, switch to a fertilizer with a lower nitrogen number and higher middle and end numbers, like 4-10-10. To mix it properly, dissolve 1 tablespoon of 4-10-10 fertilizer into 1 gallon of water and apply it directly to the base of the plant every 10 to 14 days. That'll push the plant to shift its energy from growing leaves to finishing the fruit. If you're seeing issues like blossom end rot or flowers that drop off before setting fruit, it's time to test your soil. You might be overfeeding without knowing it. A simple soil test kit can tell you your NPK levels and help you adjust accordingly. Here's one that surprises a lot of gardeners. Your plant might just have too many leaves. Yes, leaves are important. They do the work of photosynthesis and keep your plant healthy. But when there are too many of them, your tomato plant starts burning through energy just keeping those leaves alive. That energy could be used to ripen fruit. Think about it this way. Every leaf is another mouth to feed, and if you've got a massive plant with very little sunlight reaching the fruit, It's no wonder those tomatoes are taking their sweet time to ripen. Pruning isn't just okay, it's smart. Grab your shears and take off any leaves below the lowest fruit cluster. They're not helping your fruit ripen, and they're blocking air circulation too. When you open up the plant, you improve airflow, reduce disease risk, and encourage ripening by letting more sunlight hit the fruit. Just don't go overboard. Leave the top foliage to help the plant continue gathering energy. But don't be afraid to give that wild tomato plant a haircut. It's one of the simplest ways to speed up ripening and boost your yield. Sometimes your tomatoes aren't ripening because something else is hurting the plant, like bugs or disease. Hornworms are a big one. These giant green caterpillars can strip your plant bare overnight if left unchecked. They don't just eat leaves, they'll chew into the fruit too. If you see one, pick it off and either relocate it or drop it in soapy water. But here's something important. If you see a hornworm with little white pods on its back, don't kill it. Those are parasitic wasp cocoons. The wasps are your friends. They'll hatch and go after more hornworms, helping keep your garden balanced. Diseases like fusarium wilt can also stop your tomatoes from growing or ripening. If your plant starts wilting from the bottom up or has yellow streaks on the leaves, remove it immediately. Don't compost it, that spreads the disease. Destroy the plant and avoid planting tomatoes in that same spot for at least 2 seasons. Crop rotation and resistant varieties are your best defense. Now here's the truth no gardener wants to hear. Sometimes the only reason your tomatoes aren't ripening is time. Yep, good old-fashioned waiting. Some tomato varieties take as long as 100 days from transplanting to harvest. That's over 3 months of tending, feeding, watering, and, well, hoping. And when you've done everything right, waiting can feel impossible. But tomatoes ripen on their own timeline, and some are just slow. That's why it helps to plant a few early varieties along with your main crop. Tomatoes like Early Girl or Stupus can ripen in as little as 55 to 65 days, giving you a quicker payoff. It's totally normal to feel impatient. After all, you've worked hard to grow these plants, but with a little patience and the right care, you'll get your harvest. And when you finally slice into that first red tomato, trust me, it'll be worth every minute you waited. So, if your tomatoes are still sitting green on the vine, don't lose heart. You're not failing as a gardener, you're learning, adapting, and honestly getting better each season. That's what makes gardening so rewarding. Check your temps, adjust your fertilizer, prune with purpose, watch out for pests, and most importantly, hang in there. Because that sweet, sun-warmed, vine-ripened tomato, it's coming. And when it does, you'll taste all the patience, knowledge, and care you've poured into your garden. Until next time, keep growing strong. From all of us at Soil and Crop Central, happy gardening.